I love life, but I think I did it as much for my kids as I did for me at the start, and then it later just became all about me. I was like, I'm not done yet. I have a lot to do, and I'm gonna keep fighting.
Well, I'm going to ask you this. You might not be able to answer it 100% honestly. You may not know. Was there any of it that was truly, I am going to fight because I am going to win, period? Not anything to do with I still have life left and I still want to see Egypt and I want to do these things. Was any of it about a scorecard, 1-0? Welcome to All Can, No Can't, the podcast where we toss out excuses, face our fears, and reclaim control. I'm Jeff Luther, your guide to mastering the chaos and turning obstacles into opportunities. Whether you're an entrepreneur navigating the ups and the downs of building a successful business or someone ready to rewrite the rules of your life, this is your space to grow, to push boundaries, and to embrace doing the hard shit that leads to greatness. Together, we'll explore stories of resilience, strategies for overcoming, and the mindset shifts that let you build a life on your terms. I use my experience with a life-altering diagnosis to help you find the can in every can't. So buckle up, because it's time to stop living in can't and start thriving in all can. You choose. Imagine sitting in a doctor's office and you hear the words, "I'm sorry, there's not a whole lot that we can do for you." Most people would be crushed. I know personally, most people would be crushed. They'd feel defeated and maybe even give up. That's a good excuse to roll over. But my guest today didn't just refuse to give up. She decided to fight, and she decided to fight even harder. And then she decided to win. Welcome back to All Can, No Can't. This is the show where we talk about taking life's toughest challenges. We take obstacles and turn them into opportunities. This is where we turn them into fuel for growth, courage, and purpose. And today's episode is really special for me because I'm joined by someone who I have had the privilege of knowing for 11 years, and someone whose story of resilience still inspires me. Pretty amazing person. Melanie Selcho was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer while she was working alongside me, and that's important to me. And doctors at MD Anderson told her that there wasn't a lot that they could do. As a matter of fact, I think someone said, best thing you can do is go home, be with your family, and pray. Mel had other plans. She became relentless about her health. She became committed to treatment, as hard and as painful as it was. And she fought her way back to living cancer-free. Today, she's not just a survivor, she's a model of courage, persistence, and a model of showing us all what's possible. So we're going to talk about what it feels like to get that kind of diagnosis, how she kept moving forward when everything seemed impossible, and the mindset that helped her not only survive, but thrive. This is a story about grit. I love that word. And Mel, you are grit. You are. Grit, hope, and proving that even when the odds say you can't, there is always a can. Mel, thank you so much. It's so good to see you, and thank you for carving out some time.
It's fun to be here, so I'm glad I'm here.
Well,
honestly, I'm glad I'm here.
You look fantastic. We talked for a few minutes, and I was going to tell you, you look great, healthy. I love your smile, and it's so good to see you.
You too.
So tell me this. I want to know, and I remember where I was. I want to know, tell us what your life was like. What was a day in the life of Mel before your diagnosis?
I like to say I had long hair and an even longer to-do list. And so I've always had big goals, and I happened to have a really big work goal that year, and it was July. I had boys that were, one had just graduated from high school and about to go to college, and my boys are heavy into lacrosse. My girls were, one was one was about to go on she was going to be an au pair, and one had moved across the country. And I just was like, more life. Like I felt like I really did believe and live the you only live once, and I was say yes to everything type person. So I had come home from a lacrosse trip with my son on a Monday morning. I was supposed to head into the office, and something had gone wrong, and so I'd headed into the doctor. I don't know if you want me to start, like, tell all the things, but that's what, my life was very busy and very fun and very full.
And so kids, 2 girls, 2 boys, they were starting to kind of adult-ish. I use the term loosely from my own experience with my kids, which seems to model your experience with your kids, adult-ish.
Yes.
All right. So then you went to the doctor that day. How long was it before you got any news?
That day. So I went because I had pain. I thought I had torn a muscle, and it turned out that was cancer in my lymph node in my collarbone area. And I kind of felt lumpy on that side, but cancer does not come in my family. Like, my people die of heart disease. That's why I was a runner. And so it didn't, I started asking Google over the weekend. I had been to a doctor. She said, I think it's an infection. We just need more imaging. And it was going to take several weeks to get more imaging. And then it got worse. And I asked Dr. Google, and Dr. Google told me I had cancer. And I was like, no, it can't be, but maybe it is. And so then I really wanted to know right away. And that doctor got me in that day, but she thought it was an infection. And so I went by myself to the doctor. The plane landed. I went to the doctor within the next hour. And the nurse practitioner who did an ultrasound on the area said, I'm going to go get the doctor, and if it's going to be longer than 5 minutes, I will come back and tell you. And I was like, that is not good. I've never heard that before. So the doctor came right in, and he said, I hear you're a little lumpy, which was a really great thing to say instead of how are you, because I'm like, I'm scared. I didn't think I was going to be here. And he said, he used the ultrasound on one breast and said, this is healthy breast tissue. He used the ultrasound on the other side and said, this is not an infection. The only thing this could be is cancer. And I was like, wait, aren't you supposed to like do a test? And aren't I supposed to like wait for a while? And then we have a meeting and I'm holding someone's hand. And so that was how I found out. It was like 20 minutes after I got there. It was, you have cancer. And we already knew it had spread because it was in my breast and it was in my collarbone. So we knew it had spread already without more tests.
Wow. And that was July? Wasn't it July?
It was July 11th.
July 11th.
I remember the days. I call it my rebirth day because it's the day I was like, I don't want to call it D-Day. I want to celebrate. That was the day my body was crying for help, and I listened, and I got a doctor to help us.
Yeah. And then what's next? Walk me through what happened next.
I thought that I've watched too many movies. I thought if you have cancer, like something in me is killing me, and I'm a like, let's go kind of person. So I thought it was going to be, you have cancer, so go to the 3rd floor and we'll schedule your surgery. And instead it was, I'm going to do a biopsy to see what kind, but I know this is cancer. And so I remember he left the room to go get the equipment to do the biopsy, and I was just alone and in shock, and I wanted my phone. And I didn't know who I was going to call because the walls felt paper thin, and I didn't know how long it was going to be till he got back. But I think your phone makes you feel connected. Yeah. So I look at my phone, and a friend of mine who had a different kind of cancer 10 years ago, and I'm in a group friendship with her. She's in California. She had texted me, so it was like 7 a.m. her time, and said, I feel the need to check on you. And I just felt immediately like, this is my challenge. This challenge isn't, I'm not accidentally here. This is real. This is my challenge for me. I somehow signed up for this class before life and agreed to it. And it just really grounded me. And so I stayed I was at the hospital, but all they were doing was more biopsies and testing. And then the doctor had said, I said, I feel good now. And he said, you need 5 days for the results to come back, and then we'll get busy with scans. And I was like, okay, that's a long time. Yeah. So I said, I feel good. Is it okay to travel? And he was like, sure. And so I made a decision right then. I was going to get all my kids together because they were kind of spread around. And we were going to have a family trip because I didn't know if I really thought I might be dead by Christmas. I just had 2 people, one of our colleagues that had just gotten stage 4 cancer, and another person I knew from work, and they had both been given really short times to live. And I already knew it was aggressive because it was I could feel it growing because of the pain, and we already knew it had spread. And so I was like, I feel good. I'm gonna take a trip. So that's life. And from there, they did scans, and they found out it had spread far enough to be considered stage 4. I decided to get a second opinion at MD Anderson. And I just got connected to people who were really resourceful, and I had my second opinion from MD Anderson and started chemo sooner than I was going to even get imaging when they thought it was an infection. So it was like all within less than 2 weeks' time, I was able to start the chemotherapy.
Wow. When you initially went to MD Anderson, did I have that right? Was that the doctor that said there wasn't much they could do?
That was the second time. So the first time I went, the doctor was very, I had 2 different doctors at MD Anderson. So one was the oncologist, and he was the one in charge of chemo, and he said, even though I had two different, turns out I had 2 different kinds of breast cancer.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
My cancer I think sometimes your cancer is a lot like your personality. Mine was extra, but then luckily also responsive. And so he said, we're going to start chemo. We do chemo first because then we can see how it works when we do surgery. You will need surgery. You will need radiation. And so about a couple weeks later, so I started chemo, and I was very hopeful with chemo, even though my doctors in Atlanta were not as hopeful. They were like, we're going to do our best, but we don't have a lot of hope. We're treating it, I didn't know this, stage 4, they don't try and cure you. And so sometimes they won't give you some of the treatments that you have if you have an earlier stage, just because it's already throughout your body. And so they said, we're going to treat it aggressively, but we don't know how it's going to work out. And then a couple of weeks later, MD Anderson was scheduling me to meet with a surgeon, and the surgeon said, we won't meet with you. Your case is too complex. We have to send it to committee. We have to see how you respond to chemo. And so that is the surgeon who later told me and my husband, I'm not saying it's your last Christmas, but it might be your last Christmas. So I had 2 different doctors with 2 different opinions. It's really interesting. Where you think things are cut and dry, they're not.
Right. So can you recall how both of those conversations impacted you, like mentally? Do you remember that?
I remember, so the first conversation when I first went, it was funny because this is still we're still recovering from COVID.
Right,
so everyone's wearing masks, COVID-ish, but heavy protocols. And so we get there, my sister and my husband had decided to come with me. And they had both been doing research for me. And because if I went to Google, I just went down bad rabbit holes. So I just didn't let myself go to Google. And I was like, I'm going to have other people who are smarter than me do my research and tell me. And so we get to the hospital, and they said, there can only be 2 of you in the room with the doctor. And I literally was like, can it be those 2? I don't want to be one of them.
Why don't you talk to them and they can tell me?
They can tell me. So I remember when he said, we just got the results of your second biopsy, and we really want to try the chemo. We don't need to put you in a clinical trial. So go home and start chemo. I remember I was like, okay, I had a lot of hope then. And then a couple weeks later, when they said, we can't even schedule you to meet with a surgeon, I was desperate because I was like, I want to live. And you're not even letting me talk to the person who can help me live. You're telling me I need this surgery and that I can't even talk to the person who could give it to me. And so the first conversation was very hopeful, and the second conversation was devastating. But it also lit up some anger in me where I realized, and I don't like to get angry because we're trained not to ever be angry, but I was angry, and I just realized I'm going to find somebody who's going to do this surgery, and I want a doctor who thinks that they can cure me. I want a doctor who thinks they're going to get a good outcome. I want a doctor who believes in themselves and in me. And so I don't even want this doctor to do my surgery. And thank you, universe, for showing me that. And then I went and found a doctor who was like, yes, I can help you. And so it really gave me the authority in my own treatment. Instead of relying on other people to do it for me, I decided I'm going to find the surgeon, and I'm not going to stop until I find one.
Yeah, and it's like the end is going to come no matter what, whatever the end is, but what do you want to think and what do you want to believe on your way to that end?
I think that's really hard. That I struggled with that. So I used to, before I had cancer, I would wake up in the morning and I would raise up my arms and be like, today I get to be Mel Selcho, and this is my big goal. I would always talk to myself about my big goal. And then I was like, well, now my big goal is to live.
Right.
Before my big goal was otherwise. And I didn't feel like I had very much choice in whether I got to live or not. And it felt like I was like, is it okay to make a plan for Thanksgiving? Because I might be dead. Like, there would be movies that were like, this movie will be out on this date. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to even live to that movie. And I finally I felt like I was giving away my life. And so I decided that if you're going to die of cancer, you probably get at least a day's notice. And so I decided that in the morning, instead of saying, I would say the date, and I would say, today I get to be Mel Selcho, and today I am not dying of cancer. And it just gave me my days back. And I remember there was one day at work, there was a tornado warning, and we all had to go in the basement. And I said to one of our customer service team, I said, we might die from a tornado today, but today I'm not dying of cancer.
I didn't know this.
I mean, I had to do a lot of mind tricks on myself. Anyway. But it really did, because I felt like I didn't deserve to get to plan for the future. And I realized, you know what? Any of us can die at any time. And I might actually die of cancer. So I couldn't tell myself you're not dying of cancer, because I didn't really believe that. I didn't know.
You didn't believe you weren't dying of cancer?
Yeah, I just was like, how do I know that?
Yeah.
And so my brain would argue with me. But my brain didn't argue with, you're not dying today of cancer. I was like, okay. I think you get at least a day's notice. If you're going to die of cancer, I think you get that, you're going to at least know you're close.
So I want to explore that a little more. So when you say your brain didn't argue with you, so that I understand, do you mean like your brain's job is to protect you, right? So it will make up stories even when they're not true. So do you mean like you would say I'm not dying of cancer, and your brain's way of protecting you would be like, I don't know if we want to believe that or not.
Right. And and the coach I was working with at the time said the reason for that is that our brain, in a way of protecting us, wants certainty. So certainty of death is better for your brain than uncertainty of life. Even though your brain's job is to keep you alive, it values the certainty more than that. And so that's why if it's like, I still can't say I'm not going to die of cancer. I have no idea how I'm going to die.
Right.
And so I can't even say I'm not going to die in a car wreck. I can't say how I'm, and so my brain will argue with those things because if I said today, to me, my experience of people who have died of cancer is they know more than a day ahead that they are going to die of cancer.
Right.
And it just gave me my day back, and that let me plan for Thanksgiving for some reason. It was just a trick that worked for me. So.
Oh, that's fascinating. Like, if someone had told me they thought you did that, I would be like, bullshit. No, she did it because she's relentless. That's what she did. And actually, those two things are very different.
I mean, I was just about to say, I think it is a form of relentlessness. I told my kids when I told them I had cancer, I said, just so you know, because there are all kinds. I mean, I think we need more words for it because I didn't want them to. We didn't know how bad it was, but we knew already it had spread, right?
Yeah.
And so, and I had to tell them before I knew all the things because I wanted them to all go on this trip with me. And so, and I'm not a good faker. I have a terrible poker face. So I just said, I just want you to know, I think it's probably pretty aggressive and pretty bad, but I also want you to know I love this life, and something's gonna have to take me out because I'm not going willingly. And I'm going to give it everything that I have. And I came to believe, because I hear very inspiring stories of people who don't survive, but they don't let the cancer take the life they have left. And so I decided that even if we don't get to choose the length of our life, we definitely get to choose the width. And I was not going to let cancer steal life from me that I still had. And that's what it does when it makes you scared.
Right. Yeah, very well. I say right like I know. But very well.
I mean,
put.
You know what it's like to be told you might die. You know what it's like to actually die. I don't know what that's like.
They're totally different. I didn't have the looming ominous diagnosis. Mine just happened. Mine was easy. The dying part for me was easy. I think it's way different. I think it's so different when someone tells you you're going to die a slow, painful death. That's what you were told.
I mean, it is what I was told.
Yeah. And your family's going to have to watch it.
And you're going to have to watch your family watch it.
Yeah.
That is actually the worst, honestly, the worst part. Telling my kids was awful. Telling my mom was awful. Because you're like, I'm a mom. I'm like, your mom does not want you to outlive you.
No parent wants to outlive their kid. An interesting question came up when you were telling me all this. So you are like you're one of the most competitive people that I know. You're also one of the kindest and sweetest people that I know. How many people were shocked at your fight? And your fight was off the fucking charts. Were you shocked at your fight?
I was shocked at my fight. I think I was like a little bit shocked at my fight because I am competitive, and I always say that when I wake up and other people wake up and leave the house, it's always win your day. Like let's win.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was fighting my body as much as I was. I mean, if something wants to kill me, I'm gonna fight it. But I also was like, it was more healing. It was like a fight of healing almost. And I don't know. Nobody ever told me they were surprised by my fights. But.
Huh.
Were you?
No, not even. No. I'll tell you this. I was surprised at. The refusal to give in to any of it. Stubbornness.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes, I think that.
And I mean that lovingly, like in a very good way.
I'm taking it that way. I think that, you do hear really beautiful stories of, I mean, we all are going to die. So I definitely want a beautiful death, and I would like applause at my funeral. Just so if you're listening,
I'm writing notes. I'm writing notes.
But so I'd heard those, so I felt conflicted, right? Like, am I supposed to just be like, okay, I've led a great life and be grateful for the things. And I just decided that if that is meant for me, then I will know it at the time. And until then, I'm going to fight like hell. And I did it as much. I love life, but I think I did it as much for my kids as I did for me at the start. And then it later just became all about me. I was like, I'm not done yet. I have a lot to do, and I'm going to keep fighting.
Well, I'm going to ask you this. You might not be able to answer it 100% honestly. You may not know. Was there any of it that was truly, I am going to fight because I am going to win, period? Not anything to do with I still have life left and I still want to see Egypt and I want to do these things. Was any of it about a scorecard, 1-0?
I don't know, because I do love to win, but I don't think that people who die from cancer didn't win. So it's that, I think that it's who gets the power. Like, again, we're all going to die of something. And so I don't think you lost to the thing that you died from. But if you lose life and potential, I'm definitely a potential type person. And so I didn't want to let potential die. If the potential died, then I would lose. And so there was probably a win in terms of potential. Like, I'm not going to let potential die. But I do still feel this way, that people who die from cancer didn't lose. And it bothers me that when it's said they lost their battle with cancer, because ultimately our bodies are meant to die. And so how do you accept that without accepting, but I'm not going to do it before it's my time, and I'm not going to do it before I'm actually dead? I think that is the real issue, is dying before you're dead.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. You always have a choice. Always. And
yeah. So that's what I meant. Like, I don't know if you get to decide I'm going to live, I want to live, my goal is to live to 100. And I am not going to willingly change that goal, but I may decide, there may come something where I do decide to change that goal, but it's going to be a decision of mine, not a like, well, I guess this is happening, so.
Yeah. So now this is a little bit off topic, but to me, my definition of success is the pursuit of the goal, right? So if you're pursuing that goal of living to be 100, then it's okay to change the goal as long as you keep pursuing it. That's the success. Yeah, goals should always change, I think.
I do too.
I think they should always change. What were your biggest ups and downs? You know what? No, that's a boring question. Are you feeling stuck? Overwhelmed? It's like you're fighting against something that you can't even see or name. I've been there, literally. I survived sudden cardiac death, and I rebuilt everything. I've mastered the art of controlling the chaos. Now I coach a small group of high performers that are willing to do the work to do the same thing. No fluff, no excuses, we just get results. If you're ready to take back control, apply now at jeffluther.com. This is all can, no can. How did you keep your morale? How did you stay motivated during your treatment? Because there were days, well, just answer the question.
Oh, I'm interested in it. Like, there were days. So the funny thing is, when you get cancer, and probably when you get any big diagnosis, the people who love you come out of the woodwork, which is amazing. And they tell you about everything they've ever heard about anyone who had what you have.
Yeah.
Or kind of, they think they had what you had. So I started getting advice.
Yeah.
Eat only
no
what
shortage of that.
Eats. No, yeah. Eat only what a tiger eats. Only juice green apples and carrots, and eat only that. And I was overwhelmed with the advice, and I did a couple things that I think were very, I'm really proud of them, but I don't know where they came from. One was, I decided nobody could say the wrong thing. So if somebody was saying anything to me, it was because they loved me. And so even if I was like, that is terrible advice, I took it as this is their love language, and I don't have to take all advice that is given to me. So, but I'm an overachiever, which you know, because I'm always like, let's do all the things.
Yeah.
And I had learned, thankfully, I'm so grateful for my experience at Home Probe, because when I was getting all this flooding of advice and I wanted to do it all, and I didn't have the energy or the resources, and then some of it conflicted with each other. You can't do that. I was like, you can't do it all now, Mel. And so I was like, when have I ever felt overwhelmed like this? And I realized it's in marketing. You can never do all the marketing.
Right.
And so I created what I called my marketing plan. So like I created, you know how we use EOS and we did rocks, and I created a marketing plan, and I used this book called, now I can't remember the name of it, sorry. A woman who studied people who have Radical Remission. She studied people who had less than a 25% chance of survival. I had 13, and they survived. And she studied them from all over the world, and they all had 10 things in common. And so I decided I was gonna do one of each category. And I was gonna give it 90 days, and then I was going to see the results in 90 days. Because the other thing about marketing is you start doing something in marketing, and when you start doing it, you're like, where's my ROI? Where's my ROI?
Yeah.
And you sometimes have to give it time because you're planting seeds. And so I had learned that lesson in marketing. And so I had decided I'm going to do these 10 things, and I'm going to see how it looks in 90 days. And then I'll make a decision on whether I need to tweak any of them after 90 days. And so that's another really good decision that I made that helped me through. And that really helped my morale, because I would go back to, those decisions were all about morale. One of the things was like visualization, and I am not good at that. And I just started like imagining myself at MD Anderson for my checkup. And I would start with, what boots are you wearing? I'm like, I'm wearing my pink velvet boots, and I'm at MD Anderson, and the doctor comes in and says, I have the best news ever. And I would just write it out and read it to myself. I wrote love letters to my cells about how great they were doing, and I did all kinds of crazy woo stuff, and then I did all the traditional medicine too, because that was helpful. And I just was like, I'm giving all of it 90 days, and we'll see how it works.
That's amazing. And the stories, like, your brain doesn't know the difference. Your brain doesn't know you didn't go to MD Anderson with your pink velvet boots on. When you visualize it, your brain thinks it happens.
I didn't know that at the time, but visualization was one of the categories.
Wow.
And so I was like, I'll try that one. And then I had a really hard time with it. So I was like, well, we'll start with what boots you're wearing. You can visualize that.
Well, yeah, we know you can visualize that. Did you do like the kind of the go-to things, the meditation? Did you do any meditation, spiritual stuff?
I was already meditating. Meditating, is that the word?
I think so.
I was already doing that, and a friend offered me two things, and one of them was awful and one was amazing. She offered me a tarot card reading, and that was terrible. And I was like, I'm never letting anyone read my tarot cards who doesn't know and love me.
Yeah.
But she also offered me a tapping session, and so that is like a little bit woo and spiritual, and I did that, and I still am doing that. And so that was the thing I chose in the spiritual category. But spiritual is one of the categories of Radical Remission.
Okay. And tapping, that's a diversion, right? Is that what it is?
It calms your nervous system down while you what I did, I have these rose-colored glasses, you might remember.
I do.
That I was born with.
Yeah.
And so what that does is it shuts down bad emotions. I just shut them down before they can show up. I'm like, no, it's going to be okay. And so it really just helped me sit with some of the negative emotions I've been shoving down for 50 years. And anyway, it was so helpful that I keep doing it.
So I want to talk about that just for a second. You might have something to add to this, and you might disagree. Avoiding those negative emotions. So for me, like when I grew up, you can't be sad, you can't be upset, you can't be hurt, you can't be anything negative, anything that generated weakness. So as I grew as an adult, I always suppressed those emotions, and it made it hard to process any good emotions. So like, Well, if I was happy, then that was an emotion. I don't want to be happy. That shows weakness. Well, if I'm excited, I don't want to show that because that's weakness. And it took me a long time as an adult to start recognizing that. Can you identify with that? Any difference in now processing those negative emotions?
I still lean in my rose-colored glasses, and I'm like, it's just my, it's just the way I'm wired, I think, or whatever I've been. And so I could experience the good emotions. That's probably why I kept having them. I was like, let's shove the bad ones away because I really like the good ones. I'm very excitable. So that wasn't for me, but I do realize that it does require somebody else helping me stay in the bad to calm my nervous system down enough to process it. And so that's what tapping does for me. Is I do it with someone else. You can do it by yourself, but I do it with someone else so that I don't think it's toxic positivity because I'm not forcing the good. It just is naturally coming because I want to feel good instead of feel bad. That's totally normal.
Yeah.
And so it's like, but we do you can't feel good without knowing how to feel bad, just like you said. And so that's been something that I've kept.
Yeah, you don't know light if you don't know darkness, right?
Yeah.
How did you balance? So you mentioned earlier you were a runner because of heart disease. How'd you balance your health and fitness as you were going through your therapy, medication, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, like chemo was particularly bad. I got very, very, very sick, like the movies show sick.
Yeah.
Even though my doctor was like, it's not like that anymore. I used to have to go in for extra fluids because I couldn't drink. I had drinking water felt like licking a flagpole. It was so metallic. And so I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink. I lost like 30 pounds. And I had no energy and I had a lot of brain fog and I wanted to work. And work was such a blessing to me because it made me feel normal. It made me feel like there was something I was good at still and that I could affect the outcome of. And so I knew I wasn't going to be really doing any exercise while I was having chemotherapy. And I was okay with that. And I would just come home and I had to learn how to receive. And so I was like, the way you're healing is different than when you were running to take care of your body. The way you're taking care of your body now is rest. And I am not a rester. I've always been like, rest when you're dead. And it turns out I needed more rest before I die. And so I've really kept that habit also. That was a really good transition for me to learn how to rest and to learn how to receive from other people so that I could rest. And I think I learned I had never learned that rest is part of exercise. It was always like, you should be doing more, you should be doing more, you should be doing more. More is the more the merrier.
Right.
And so I had many years of that, and then I had a couple of years of rest, but also that rest made me so excited to be able to use my body again. And so I've ended up having this love affair with my body in that how wonderful it is that it has healed. And so now I push myself, but I do it in a different way than like scolding it. It's more like raising it up. Like, what can we do?
You can do this.
So I'm grateful for that. Yeah. Not like, you need to do this in order to prove that you've done it.
Right.
It's more like, I wonder what we can do.
Yeah.
Like, let's try.
So much more fun.
Way more fun.
So then, all right, I have a question. This is for me. How would you define healthy before cancer and post? I'm going to say post-cancer because you're cancer-free now, right?
I am cancer-free right now. Okay. No evidence of disease is what they call me.
Oh, wow.
So, yes. I still get scans every, 3 months.
Okay.
So, that was one of the things I grieved when I got the diagnosis because I thought I'm never going to be able to say I'm healthy again. And the funny thing is I always claimed to be healthy, mostly because I used to never get sick.
Yeah.
I don't naturally, I mean, I really, I'm like, I've had the flu like twice in my life. I would get a cold every once in a while. And I was like, other than cancer, I don't get sick. And so I thought I just got to say I'm healthy. And so I was like, I don't think I'll ever get to say I'm healthy again. And so I had to really redefine that. And I don't know how I would define it now, but I think there is something about, I don't know how I would define it, but I feel healthy now. I think it's that I don't trade my health consistently for other things that I want in life. I used to trade sleep for other things on a consistent basis. And I used to trade like eating, like I wouldn't eat so that I could be more thin or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I have decided no more trading health. Things that I know I want to do for my body. Like I'm going to take care of this body now.
Yeah. So then would you say that I'll never be healthy again, was that ego related, do you think?
I think so. I think there I think our society values health in a good way. Like I want everyone to want to be healthy, right? So, and I guess as I think about that, I would define health, and everyone has access to this, of taking care of your body in the way that you want to take care of it. And so regardless of what limitations your body and your circumstances might have, you can be healthy even with disease. Because in that way, I still was healthy when I had cancer. I mean, I was taking such good care of myself by getting the rest that I needed, by getting the treatments that I needed, by staying positive. And so, so the way I was defining healthy was an ego-related thing based on, what we value superficially as a society.
Yeah. Easy to do. I have a question about that, about how well you took care of yourself, because you use the word took, like past tense. When I was in some of my darkest moments, days, hours, whatever you want to call it, I was most aware and most sensitive, and that's when I journaled the most, meditated the most. That's when I connected with people the most, and I never wanted to lose that. And I felt like as I came out of that darkness, I was losing my edge a little bit. Would you say that now, being a little bit removed from your diagnosis and having cancer and the fear that you lost some of the discipline in taking care of yourself?
For sure. And I think that is probably the thing nobody talks about in terms of when you get maybe quote unquote your life back, there is something about knowing how finite life is that changes you. And there will be part of me that is always changed by that. Yeah. But it is also not sustainable to live right on that edge. Like with death, like right in your face all the time.
Yeah.
And so now death is a little bit more removed. And I get glimpses of it every once in a while. I'll think, I didn't think I was going to live for this. Like, I'm so grateful I lived for this moment. I get those every once in a while, just like the sort of chills. But I think also that focus, if I was going to be as focused on my health as I was when I was in treatment, I wouldn't be able to accomplish anything else in the world. And so it's not sustainable. And I think it's seasonal, right? So there are seasons where we really, really, really need to focus on our bodies. And there are seasons where we can do a minimum baseline and we can focus on other things. And I think it's easy to forget that focus is also a limited resource.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's a blessing and a curse, right? It's I'm glad to be out of that darkness, but I miss the discipline that it gave me, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's so funny. I mean, I've been on, because I'm a lady of the 80s. So I've been on more diets than ever possible. And one of the things in the Radical Remission is to change your diet. And so I decided on the diet I was going to do. Like everybody does different diets. So it's not like change your diet to this particular one. And I was religious, and it was not hard at all. I was like, why would I want to eat that thing that's not on my diet if it might kill, like.
Right.
And so it was like I'd never had, so yeah, that discipline was it was so easy to access the discipline because you were like, those excuses are stupid. But again, that's like, it's not sustainable to stay there. And if you do, then you're not going to be able to do other things.
Yeah.
It's like, when you're training for a marathon, you're also not doing a lot of other things while you're training. So it was like, I'm staying alive right now.
Yeah.
And then that's going to become easier for me later. And I can do other fun things.
Yeah. The discipline ultimately becomes a habit. And then you have the habit, and then you start doing other things. And some of those you have to shed, I think.
Yeah.
And I know that was a little bit of an unfair question, but I saw it in me, and it just naturally, I thought there was a correlation.
Yeah.
So what fears remain, if any? You may not have any.
I'm getting further and further away from thinking about the fact that I have had cancer and it could come back, right? So that's the fear, is it will come back.
Yeah.
And I have had to make some decisions recently, even related to my health. Like, nobody knows what, I always say the number one cause of cancer or any other thing that you die of is being born, right? And we keep trying to find out what causes all the things, and it can steal some of the joy of life to be so focused on that. And so I've chosen to allow some, the quality of life over could this be a thing? So how to manage the risks, I think, has been the hardest thing for me, because if I live where my only goal is to make cancer not come back, then I've again given cancer all the power.
Yeah.
And that is still the fear, is that it's going to come back. And my biggest fear is that it's going to come back because I made a decision I shouldn't have made, and that I'm going to have to feel guilty about it coming back also. I think that's the bigger fear than even it coming back.
Oh my gosh, how would you ever pin that down?
Oh, did you drink more than one glass of wine ever? Like, did you,
You'll find things.
Right. And so it's like now I'm hyper aware. I didn't used to pay attention. Again, cancer didn't run in my family. And so literally no one in my family has ever had cancer.
Yeah.
Tell me. And so I just would hear things cause cancer, and I would be like, I mean, maybe. But it just wasn't a focus of mine. And now I feel like, oh, it needs to be your focus.
Yeah.
And then if you eliminate all the things that have ever been proved to cause any sort of cancer, you have no life left.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
So I'm eating bacon.
There you go. As we all should.
I'm like, I believe I should eat bacon, so I'm going to eat bacon.
You always do some of the funniest shit. I have a question that just popped up. Did you ever personify cancer? Did you ever give it a name?
No, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
I did personify it in that I gave it my personality. I was like, oh, this cancer is extra.
Yeah.
And but I am pretty responsive. I love, give me something that resonates and I will respond really well to it. And I'm a more of a responder by nature. And so I think my cancer also was responsive. It was like, give me something to work with, and I will change. The chemotherapy or the immunotherapy that I had actually changes the way your DNA and your cells work.
Oh wow!
And so I think my body was just like, we'll change. Give us something to work with.
Huh? Yeah. We're coachable.
Yes, coachable.
So if someone's listening to this and they're sitting in that doctor's office, and the doctor's going to get the equipment for the biopsy, what would you say to them?
I would say this is yours. Like, if you can own the experience, that I was lucky to have that text, but that is ultimately the message. This was mine. And I really did say, I have a video even of, I took a video in the car that when I got through with all the tests, I took a video because I just felt like such a monumental day.
Yeah.
And I watched it later and I was like, bless her heart. And also I'm so, like, that's amazing. I can't believe I was that aware. And anyway,
Astute.
Astute, that's a good word. One of the things I said was, I'm going to do cancer like nobody's done cancer. In the same way that when I was, marketing Home Probe, I'm going to market home inspections in a way nobody's ever marketed home inspections. And I just owned it, and I owned it so authentically, I think because I didn't feel like I had a choice. And so there's no right way to face something that could kill you or that's super challenging or defeating and debilitating other than your way. And it's yours, and you can get all the advice that you want, but ultimately the decisions are yours, and own it.
Yeah. So there are a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to the show. I'll say a lot. What advice would you give them? Because I remember I was in a RV park or something. I was on that RV trip with my brothers and my kids. And
I did not want to call you and tell you. I was like,
I remember where I was when you called me and told me. What advice? I say advice. What experience share? What would you say to folks that might have someone they work with that has a similar diagnosis? What advice could you give?
So if you're the person supporting someone in that situation, the things that were supportive were when people asked questions. Also, you were so supportive. You were like, take a breath, take a break. Whatever you need is yours. I remember you said that. And it was just like, because I was like, I need to go on another vacation. I just come from a vacation. I was like, I need to go on another vacation. And you were like, whatever you need is yours. And again, I had made the decision to be like, nobody can say the wrong thing. I think the wrong, quote unquote, the wrong thing is to avoid somebody. And so, the more honest, even if it's awkward, it's like, this might be awkward. And I appreciated people who said, this is really awkward. I don't know what I'm supposed to ask you. Or is it okay if I show you this? If the friend who introduced me to the experience of the book, it came from a documentary, and she said, are you open to alternative things? And I was like, sure. And so I just think rather than telling someone what their experience should be, asking them more is a good thing. And also, don't be afraid of it. The thing that you experience or that a lot of people that I've heard of experience when you get a bad diagnosis and you have to watch people who love you hurt, is guilt.
Yeah.
That you are creating pain for other people.
Right.
And so I think that being willing to show up even if you're in pain because you love the person who is experiencing something hard, that's where we're all like, oh, I can't watch them be in pain. Just like sit with them in the pain. One of my favorite sayings is, I'm going to sit with you on the terror bench. I'm going to sit with you. Like, I can't fix the terror for you.
Right.
I can't fix any of this for you, but you don't have to fix it. Just like sit on the bench with me while I'm having it.
Yeah. It gets uncomfortable for people. And then
because we only want to experience good, happy things, and we think we need to fix it.
Yeah, that's right. And then also when something bad's happening to someone and you're sitting there with your health, then we create our own guilt.
Interesting, like survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
Sort of like, I didn't ever think that. That's another thing is like, that's projecting. I never once thought, I wish someone else had this cancer instead of me. I was I wished I didn't have it, but I wasn't wishing someone else had it instead. I was like, okay.
You know what I did do? I don't know if you did this. It might be more difficult for you to do with cancer, but what I did do is when I would see someone smoking or an obese person eating garbage, I would look at them and I'd be like, how dare you?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yep. And then I came to terms with that when I started exercising again. I was like, okay, now I know why the diabetic eats cookies. Now I know why the guy with emphysema smokes. Yep. Can I throw some questions at you?
Yeah.
All right. What's something that you wish someone had told you when you first got diagnosed? That you found out way later.
That I found out way later.
Yeah. Damn it! I wish someone had told me that.
Embrace the wig.
Ah, okay, yeah, yep. You had some good ones. I don't know.
I still have them. Yeah.
Now your wigs did get named, right? Some of them?
Yes, I did name the wigs.
Okay.
Yes.
What is the most surprising strength that you discovered about yourself?
My anger, I think, in that moment where that doctor was pretty much telling me like I wasn't worth his time and I think my anger is a good thing. We're told not to be angry, but that anger was a good thing. And I'm surprised at how strong it was and how I then used it for good. But I've always shut down anger, and so I'm like, you're really good. You're a really good angry person. Some people are not good angry people. They need anger management. But I was like, you're a really good angry person.
Mine was your focus or your discipline. Like how you became laser focused.
That's true, because
that was amazing.
Not usually.
No, not in a bad. I mean, it's not like you're totally aloof and can't do anything, but your focus was impressive. All right, if you could get in the Wayback Machine and go way back to when this all first unfolded, is there anything you would do different? Or one? Can you think of one thing you would do differently?
One thing I would do differently. After I have the diagnosis, right? Like I can't prevent it.
Oh,
I can't
whoa,
get it
yeah.
earlier.
Let's go way back to 10 then.
Should we go way back?
Yeah. What would you? Is there anything you would do different? Preventative?
You know what? I was too busy to. I mean, we had COVID happening, so it was difficult to get medical care. But also, I was just kind of like. I remember I turned 50 that year, and I was like, okay, we need to get back on the preventive testing.
Oh, yeah.
And I hadn't been having them regularly, and so I wished I had that because I allowed so much guilt because I hadn't. I don't think. I don't know if it would have mattered
a second.
or not.
For people that are listening, give them more. I just had a colonoscopy, and I tell people, hey, go get it done. Like it's not.
Go get it done. You're not too busy. I just felt like I was like, I'm healthy. There's no cancer in my family. I don't need to, I don't need to be regular with all of the, and so I remember in March, I'd been to the doctor. And she was like, all right, it's time for your mammogram. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to get that this year. Like I hadn't had one in a couple of years. And I was like, okay,
shouldn't that be done annually?
We should do this. I can't remember how often it's supposed to be done. But I used to just be like, I'm too busy. And then we had COVID. And I really was too busy. I felt like I was too, but that is probably the thing I would do differently. I would not be too busy to make sure I was taking care of my body. I took my health for granted and just thought I'm just a healthy person. And so I would take better care of my body in intentional care. And that would be one of the things that I would do is not trade my health for whatever was busy that day.
Yeah.
I had to learn this. I'm going to go back and say one of the surprising things I learned about myself is I can be on time. I used to say I would never be on time if my life, and I'm like, I couldn't be on time even if my life depended on it. And it turned out when I was getting scans, they were working me in to get the scans, and I couldn't get treatment until I got the scans. And I was like, want to know what? I'm going to be on time for that scan. And I was so proud of myself. When I had radiation, it was 30 weekdays. I had to be there at 8:10 in the morning through traffic, and I was late one time by 2 minutes. Otherwise, I was on time for 30 straight weekdays. I was like, I can do it. I don't like to do it. Turns out I don't like to do it, but I can do it. And so now I'm way better at managing my, managing my time to be on time to things. So. Yeah. I'm not perfect, but I'm way better than I was. That's
you're a nonconformist. Don't.
Yes.
8:10 is a guideline.
It is. We're supposed to get here when we get here, but I was like, if they're not going to give you your treatment, it turns out you get there.
Yeah, stop signs are a suggestion. Mel, thank you so much for sharing your story today. I'm so grateful. And honestly, what strikes me the most about all this, even then, is you refuse to let this define you. And as much as we wanted to define you as the cancer victim, like, you could have taken that and you didn't. Like, I remember that. That's pretty impressive.
Aw, thank you. I'm pretty proud. I'm pretty proud of that part of my life journey. So
yeah. So I mean, and this is proof, right? Melanie's journey is proof that when the odds are against you, your mindset is your weapon. Just take one step. If you're hearing this and you have something out there that's looming, just take one step towards healing. And the success is the relentless pursuit of the goal. 100 years. That's the goal. 100 years. It can change. All right. This has been another episode of All Can, No Can't. I'm Jeff Luther, and I'm reminding you, no matter how dark it gets, there's always light. We don't know light if we don't know the darkness. Just keep moving forward, and it's 30 seconds at a time. Mel, thank you so much. Thanks for listening to All Can, No Can't. If today's episode resonated with you, remember, it's not about the chaos you face. It's about how you choose to take back control. It's about finding that one small can in the can't you're given and grinding it down. Find your angle, carve your place out in the world, and get the fucking win. Do that by finding what you can do and not listening to what you can't. You choose. Be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Your support helps me reach more people that are ready to embrace the all-can mindset. And it lets them know there's someone that's willing to walk with them no matter how dark the path gets. You can find me on Insta at JDLuther 2.0 and allcan_no-can't. This is where I share more tips, stories, inspiration to help fuel your journey. And until next time, keep pushing boundaries, breaking limits, proving to yourself that anything is possible, even when you're told it isn't. Remember, life's not about can't. It's all can. Go prove them wrong.